morning. Thank you both for being here. As I said to you when I saw you, I very much appreciate your connections to Dartmouth. We assume that anybody who has a connection to Dartmouth is a Granite Stater, so we appreciate that. I was pleased in the appropriations process last year to support a small increase, not as much as I would have liked, for the Foreign Commercial Service. And this year we're hoping to at least continue that flat funding. As a former governor who took trade missions overseas, I can tell you that I found the Foreign Commercial Service really helpful in terms of working with our businesses to improve economic activity and trade. How do you all work with the Foreign Commercial Service, since the Department of Commerce isn't represented here this morning? And what's particularly effective in the work that you all do?
I could just say one place we definitely see their work at Treasury is through our engagement with the multilateral development banks, where having Foreign Commercial Service team members working inside those executive directors' offices at every MDB is one way that we're able to make sure U.S. firms can bid on things coming out of the MDBs. But more broadly, I would say it's to the ways Undersecretary Fernandez mentioned of just making sure countries know we are there as a partner. If they suddenly lose markets, that there are people on the ground who are able to try to help them understand where they could export, whether it's to the United States or to other partners of ours, to show that we care, to show that we are partners to these countries. There are countries, as I mentioned, they very much want to work with us. They understand we're the better option to work with. And the key is that we have to be on the ground and we have to be able to be there.
Thank you for the question. One thing I would add is the Foreign Commercial Service is active in many of our posts, and they provide as someone who came from the private sector, the value for the money is just incredible, and especially important to small and medium enterprises. Large companies have their government relations types, they can get high-priced bankers and all that. Smaller companies don't have that option. And the knowledge, the experience that they have is something that I have been astounded by. We need more of them. They are not in every post. And some of the posts, I'm thinking now in Africa, where we are in a struggle for to improve the U.S. brand in these countries, where China is making inroads. We need more of them, especially in countries where in the past we've ignored.
I certainly agree. And as we think about how do we best counter what the PRC is doing around the world, the fact that they now have more diplomatic embassies open than we do, that they have the kind of commercial activity that we are not combating as effectively as we need to, I think is really concerning. In the telecommunications area is another place where I think we have seen challenges. And I know that we have worked with many of our allied partners to encourage them not to adopt Huawei and Chinese telecommunications networks. But what more can we do to help countries that don't want to do that, that are looking to us? For example, the Development Finance Corporation. I have had legislation to try and encourage them to look particularly at Eastern European countries on supporting their telecommunications infrastructure. What more can we do? Should we be asking the DFC to do that? Either of you.
I would just say one thing we have to do is make these countries less vulnerable. They know it's a better option, and if whether it's the Partnership for Growth and Infrastructure Investment, whether it's MDB lending, whether it's things at the IMF like the PRGT or Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust, places they know they can borrow and that they're not going to be dependent on China, so that if they make a very smart choice in their technology sector and in their communication sector, they don't suddenly face blowback and lose investment. I think it's crucial that they know they have options from us so that they're not vulnerable to China.
Thank you.
What I would add to that is, and this is I commend you for focusing on this question. This is an important question that for a long time has been discussed. We've taken on the challenge by, first of all, talking to countries, informing them of the risks and promoting a level playing field in the host countries. We've actually brought a couple of regulators to DC and told them about why we are concerned about untrusted vendors. That changes the dialogue. They go home and they realize what the problem is. Exim Bank we worked with. Exim Bank clarified its rules on local content to support 5G purchases. And then we've also worked with individual companies to talk about opportunities. Right now we are at the TTC, we are putting together a list of countries that this year will have auctions, 5G auctions, and what we're going to do with the European Union as part of the Trade and Technology Council and with a number of companies as well as with Japan and with Korea is to work together to see how we can encourage our companies and support our companies. We can do more, and we can do more in the short term, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
And just to clarify, we can do more, and it's in our interest if we do more. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good to see both of you here today. Undersecretary Fernandez, I'd like to start with you, if I might, and share with you an experience that I've had. I think we let your team know that I would be checking in with